So with that, we're going to transition to our new featured 2020 speakers who have never been on the SciAxis stage before. We're going to begin with Dr. Sarmistha Talukdar, who is a molecular biologist and autistic self-advocate. Thank you so much.
Hi. Thank you, Anna, for having me, and thank you everybody who spoke before me. It was such a great honor to share this virtual space with you all. And yeah, a little bit about me. I am Dr. Sarmistha Talukdar. I'm a postdoctoral scientist working on cancer stem cells. I'm an audiovisual artist. I perform live my artist name is Tavishi. I'm also an activist and a community organizer. And as Anna said, I'm autistic as well. There are 3 images on this slide. One of them is me receiving an award for my research in cancer. Another image is of me performing live as an audiovisual artist. And third image is of me giving a speech on immigrant justice. So our talk is going to be about rooting for inclusion and how a transdisciplinary approach to STEM could be possibly helpful for autistic folks. Well, I wanted to talk about what is a transdisciplinary approach. So in this image, you can see that there are 4 charts that show how different disciplines can interact with each other. One is disciplinary, which is just one discipline. Then there's multidisciplinary, which is multiple disciplines which exist but not interacting with each other. There is interdisciplinary, where multiple disciplines interact with each other. And then there's transdisciplinary, where the people affected are actually leading this interdisciplinary work. So going back to statistics, Sunay already gave a really good, amazing talk about how autistic people are affected. So individuals with autistic spectrum disorder are more likely than general population and other disabilities gravitate towards STEM. They show an inclination towards STEM education. However, these studies have shown that young adults with autistic spectrum disorder are less likely to enroll in a 2-year community college or 4-year college than other disability groups. So these are really questions that are really thought-provoking and really need to be addressed. So there are a couple of graphics on the slide. One of the graphics is from a book called Out of the Weight of Our Dreams. It's been compiled by my friend Lydia X.Z. Brown. And it has a quote saying, "If I had a time machine and could go back to my school days, I wouldn't try so hard to mold myself into a person whom I was not meant to be." And this quote is by Christy Y. Then there's a graphic that says, why autism seems to cluster in some immigrant groups. And I think Sanay has already shown how autism is there's a problem in diagnosis of autism in minority groups compared to white people. And this is another graph, bar graph, showing that how differences in autism symptoms vary among minority and non-minority, even at toddler stage. And then how Black people's autism is not recognized and stereotyped violently. So I wanted to speak about a little bit because in Virginia, a Black autistic person has been arrested and is currently in prison because of just being autistic. And there are 2 articles, screenshots that I'm sharing. Both of them have been published in June 2020. So these are not some old issues that were happening. These are still issues that happen in our society currently. And in US, approximately 9% of STEM workers are Black, whereas 69% of them are white. At higher positions in the industry, situations are even worse, as Black Americans take up only 2% of full-time professors, and 26% of Black STEM majors leave without earning a degree, while 13% of white STEM majors do the same, demonstrating the lack of receive that Black and brown people receive in the community, especially in STEM. Because of this, there was a recent shutdown STEM strike hosted by scientists in the US on June 10th. And it was one of the first things I think I've seen in academia doing something about this disparity. Going back to STEM education, I came across this article called Educational Tyranny of Neurotypicals. And I will keep this as a heading of this slide, because you'll be probably thinking like, why? What is the educational tyranny? But I will describe why it is actually an educational tyranny of the neurotypicals, because our schools have failed our neurodiverse students, because they have been designed for educating students to have white and blue collar jobs. Our society does not have tolerance or compassion for people lacking social skills, or not, or anybody who's not perceived as normal. More schools struggle to integrate atypical learners, even though it's increasingly clear that interest-driven learning, project-based learning, and undirected learning seems to be better suited for greater diversity of neural types. And this is not what we observe in our society currently. Um, if you see, there are three graphics that talk about a guided code to language and education. We see often language used as academic rigor and growth mindset, which sound good on paper, but actually are very ableist and racist and classist in their practice. And if you look at, if you Google autism education, the first things that comes up is this are like special education meant for autistic people. But it's like really ridiculous that Autism Speaks, which is a very problematic organization, is the first organization that one of the first organizations that pops up. And they're problematic because I will go more in details about, because the education type that they're supporting is called ABA, or Applied Behavior Analysis. So it sounds amazing, but actually ABA has roots in the history, ABA's historical roots are like steeped in violence and abuse. There is a graphic showing ABA educator actually slapping an autistic child. This is like history of ABA. This is what ABA has done to children, like small young children. And there's another graphic that says, listen to a single autistic person who has been through ABA, and you'll recognize it as abuse. ABA is about control and making autistic person less visibly autistic. The phrase quiet hands is one they used to discourage stimming, but you know what they did when you don't comply? Forcibly restrained you. Playing with your hair or twiddling your thumbs. I still freak out after flapping because I'm expecting to be punished. And there's one more article that says that ABA is like an invisible abuse that only autistic people can see. Next, I will share what ABA exposure does to autistic people. Here are two charts that shows that a pie chart that shows that 77% of autistic people who did not get exposure to ABA, 72% of them did not have any PTSD symptoms. However, if autistic people are exposed to ABA, we see that 46% of those people end up having PTSD, showing a clear correlation between PTSD and ABA therapy, which is apparently the special education that autistic people need. So this is why I said that this is educational tyranny of neurotypicals. It's not healthy for autistic people. So, sorry, I realized that I did not. So the title of the slide is Roots to Shoots. So like a seed, first thing the seed does is like develop roots that make it grounded in the soil, and then only develop shoots and blossom. That's how I feel like early development looks like for children, and we need to like strengthen their roots in early development and have education that's rooted in ways that support their needs. So that's why we come to disability justice and science. Let me take the time real quick. Okay. That's why we come to disability justice and science. Disability justice has immensely propelled science, technology, medicine, and medical research forward. Our current response to COVID-19 is actually built on the backs of disabled and chronically ill folks. However, scientific and medical researchers do not respect disabled and chronically ill folks. Biochemist and disability scholar Gregor Wolbring says that disability rights community has a history of disagreement with scientific and clinical experts over their perception of people with disabilities. This is summarized as ableism, a view that disability is abnormality instead of a feature of human diversity. It can lead to flawed solutions and disempower those affected. As sociologist Nicholas Rose observed, the very project of medicine seems to have shifted from a metric of health versus disease to one of ever expanding perfectibility of the species itself, which veers very strangely into eugenics and other racist and ableist ideologies. For this reason, it is crucial that we take disability justice refrain nothing about us without us seriously, noting that there is substantial certification among disabled people. So I wanted to talk about a little bit of the education system that was there in India pre-colonial times. It's called the Gurukul system, which was a highly decentralized system where the students and the teachers were encouraged in critical thinking. The priority of this education was social awareness, personality development, intellectual development, spiritual development, preservation of knowledge and culture, and caring for others. And this system was destroyed by the colonizers. This system was later revived in Shantiniketan by Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, and he founded a university called Vishwa Bharat University to promote arts, social justice, and sustainability along with science. And this was modeled on the principles of humanism, internationalism, and sustainable environment. Here is a graphic of students learning from their teachers in an open nature environment, which is not confined and super rigid. I'm not saying this is the most anti-oppressive environment ever, but as somebody who has experienced this a little bit, I feel like this is a little more supportive than what we see traditionally in classrooms. So this was an education system that is deeply rooted in one's immediate surroundings, but connected to the cultures of the wider world, predicated upon pleasurable learning and not restraining somebody because they're twiddling their thumbs, and individualized to the personality of the child. So Rabindranath Tagore felt that this curriculum should revolve organically around nature, with classes held in open air under trees, provide for spontaneous appreciation of the fluidity of plant and animal kingdom and seasonal changes. And the students were free to pursue wide range of subjects for their liking, be it arts, humanities, or fine arts, along with science. This is very similar to what a lot of indigenous perspective of education is as well. For example, Dr. Robin Wall Kimmerer, who is an indigenous biologist, writes in her book Gathering Moss, describing that life in boundary layer is a place where mosses grow and thrive. Boundary layer is a space where earth and air meet. So mosses grow on the surface of the earth, and there's a graphic showing like this. That's the boundary layer, that the earth and the air meet. That's where the mosses grow. The other layers are like on top is like where the air circulation is a little more, and on top where like the kites fly and the birds fly, there's like way more. So the way the air works in these three layers is different. So the needs of the moss are different from the needs of the tree that are, let's say, in the turbulent zone. It doesn't make anybody less appropriate, anybody's needs less appropriate, but the needs are valid. So Annie Rinn says that I'm remembering to find holiness in the boundary layer. So like respecting our needs and those boundary layers are important. Robin Wall Kimmerer also Robin Wall Kimmerer also places emphasis on merging spirituality with science and scientific education. She says mosses and other small beings issue an invitation to dwell for the time right at the limits of ordinary perception, and all it requires of us is attentiveness. Look in a certain way and a whole new world can be revealed. A Shane elder of my acquaintance once told me that the best way to find something is not to go looking for it. This is a hard concept for a scientist, maybe a neurotypical scientist. He said, watch out of the corner of your eye, open to possibility, and what you seek will be revealed. And there are currently a lot of indigenous people and Black people who are doing this work in education and bringing awareness about neurodivergence to STEM education. One of them is Sarah M. Acevedo, also known as Neurowitch, who is an autistic mestiza, educator, and disability justice advocate, born and raised in Colombia. Her background is linguistics, not STEM, but however, she places a lot of emphasis in interdisciplinary studies, just like other educators before me, that I have talked about. And she places emphasis on community-based transition programs, on the principles of liberatory education, multiple voices in a neurodiversity movement to be heard, and prioritizing disability justice strategies. Another educator who's autistic and is amazing is Tara Ipala, who's an autistic multilingual medical doctor, educator, and translator born in Zimbabwe and grew up in South Africa, living in Germany. And she says that I really try to use my ability and my weirdness to make life better for the other person. So these are amazing autistic people, just like Sine, who talked before me, who are doing amazing work to create awareness about autism and education. One of the things that they often talk about is bringing multiple disciplines together. There is a graphic here talking about art of making science accessible and relevant to all students. It has like a picture of 3 test tubes with like plants growing out of it, show how art and science can interact and be amazing. The graphic also has short description of on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. Second graders weave mats, baskets, or other objects from the local hala plant. So they do these things not just to weave mats, but also as an education activity. And I think STEM has shown how textiles and science and logic and all these things merge. So they don't exist in like separate vacuums. So art and science don't exist in separate vacuums. They can merge and can help making science more accessible to people. Here's a graphics which talks about making science accessible through art, where PhD student Sarah Gore is demonstrating the use of indicator fluid. So she uses indicator fluid to paint oceans in different pH. And we can study how different oceans have different pH values using those indicator dyes. And then I will play a little video. If you can hear this sound, I'm not sure if you can.
We are not able to hear that.
Okay, wait. Let me see why that's happening.
You can stop screen share, and then when you share again, there is an option to share computer sound, which is a small checkbox in the bottom left-hand corner.
Got it.
If you click that and reshare, we should be able to hear your video sound.
Okay, let me see. Share computer sound. Yes, got it. Thank you, Anna.
No problem.
Yes. So let me go back to the slide. I apologize for the interruption. So hopefully you can hear the sound now. Can you hear it now?
Yes.
Amazing. So this is actually the sound of the protein structure of COVID-19. And I feel like this is a really interesting approach to science.
Sorry, Sarmistha, we can't hear you and the sound at the same time.
Oh, sorry. So I'll let it play and then I'll talk about it.
Perfect. Yeah, it's pretty loud on our end, so.
Okay. Thank you for saying that.
Yes.
enjoyed that music. It was generated not by me, but some other people. I'm sorry, I missed their name right now. I'm trying to remember their name right now. But what they have done is that they've taken the structure of the virus SARS-CoV-2 and converted it into sound. And I feel like this is like a great way for science and sound music to interact, because not only does it give you another perspective of the structure of the virus, but also it helps make it more accessible to people who may not be able to say, visualize the structure in the way I can as a privileged sighted person. So I feel like also these are like also it has been shown that data sonification helps in understanding data and finding patterns in them that are not very maybe obvious, and the the way the sound changes helps in like analyzing the data a lot easier. And it's some of the things that I do a little bit as a sound artist, where I convert my own research data into sound. So I feel like these are some ways how we can make science more accessible to autistic people as well as other people. Oh, sorry. And I hope that this was a little helpful about how STEM education could be transdisciplinary, where it's not just one discipline or multiple disciplines existing separately, but interdisciplinary, where multiple disciplines interact with each other and are led by people who are impacted the most. And so lastly, I wanted to lead some questions regarding this issue. Like, are we rooted in accessibility? Why is access important in STEM education, and how those affect our concepts of eugenics, isogenics, and lack of technological progress for disabled? I feel like a lot of speakers here have given amazing descriptions and amazing solutions as well. And I would highly recommend following up with those people and seeing how STEM can grow from here, and how we can. And the second point is how we could have trauma-informed education, and what are the challenges faced by students' education, which is not reliant on, say, ABA or other abusive or other abusive forms of education. So with that, I hope that we all can dismantle racism in STEM and ableism as well in academic industrial complex by including disabled BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous people of color, at the table, and not just a table of science. The insights and expertise of those who have been harmed and exploited in the name of progress offer us a more rigorous foundation by which we democratize science than the current model in which citizens are imagined to be the people waiting for the fruits of science to ripen. To begin this shift, we must become just as inventive about addressing social complexity as we are about biological and neurological complexity. If our bodies can regenerate, let us not imagine our body politic to be so utterly fixed. And with that, I thank you all for your kind attention and going through this process of presentation with me. And I'm Sarmistha. I'm a brown-skinned South Asian queer person, and I did not describe this earlier, and I have a background of plants behind me because I love plants.
Amazing, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and sharing that presentation with us today. For everyone asking in the comments, I will get the PowerPoints and presentation slides from all of the presenters who are willing to share and distribute those after the conference. So if you're taking notes and didn't get to catch something, fear not, we will be sure to share that afterwards. I'd also like to remind our speakers that there are some open questions for them in the chat. So any of our morning speakers, please open that Q&A for us, and you can submit any question responses that way for folks, and that'll be a nice way to help answer any questions for anyone wanting to know more information. I do see one here for Sanai. Sanai, are you still online?
Yes, Anna, I'm still right here.
Fantastic. There's someone wondering if you could describe how to donate to Autism in Color. I wanted to give you a moment to give more details on that for our audience.
Okay, I believe I posted the response in the chat.
Oh, perfect.
But if you didn't catch it, I have a GoFundMe in circulation already. I just opened it up this morning. Could you should I drop the link in the chat again or what?
Sure thing. Yeah, if you want to send it to me in a private message, I'll send it out to all the attendees in the chat. And just a quick reminder for the attendees, when we break for lunch here in a couple minutes, if you close out the meeting, it'll actually delete the chat history, but I'm happy to I'll send all the important links afterwards. You're also welcome to just keep the meeting open and then just return at 1 o'clock. So feel free to keep it open as well. But do note that when you sign out and sign back in, it does erase the prior messages. But yeah, Sanaa, if you can go ahead and send that to me, I'll share with everyone. I just wanted to make sure you had the chance to share how to donate to your wonderful organization. So
thank you, Anna. I just scratched the link. I'll try to see. Okay, I think I've got I've got everyone's questions. Please feel free to contact me personally. I'll get the email I'll get my presentation shared to Anna for sure. So for those who are asking about it, there's your answer.
Thank you so much. And Sarmistha, we do have one question for you that we'll have time to answer on air, and then the rest we'll just have via chat. So I'm going to go ahead and read off one from Joanne, who asks if you can expand on why growth mindset does not work well for neurodiverse students.
Thank you for asking that question. I will share a slide which talks about growth mindset in a little more details. I was trying to be mindful of time, so I didn't talk about it too much. Let me go and share this slide. So here, the growth mindset says that if educators teaching growth mindset do not take young people's environment into account, particularly youth experiencing white supremacy, anti-Blackness, poverty, patriarchy, and ableism, then they are engaged in glorified victim blaming. Educators should remember that BIPOC experience systemic oppression and are more likely to develop a fixed mindset because they are far more likely to be punished for their mistakes. I hope that answers your question.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I also see there's some folks who want that COVID song shared with them. So if you share with me your PowerPoint, I'll email that out to everyone after today. So thank you.
I will do that, absolutely. And I saw somebody saying if I'm advocating for the end of ABA, then I would say yes, that's the consensus of many autistic people. And I'm not the only person who feels like ABA is very problematic to the least.
Right. Thank you so much for answering that additional question. Fantastic. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let us break here a little bit early for lunch. So thank you so much for our speakers bringing us back on track with the schedule. If anyone thinks of additional questions over the break, feel free to submit it to the Q&A and just make sure you identify the name of the speaker who the question is directed towards, since we have so many wonderful panelists joining us this morning. And we will resume today's meeting at 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is just a little bit more than an hour. So we'll take a nice long break for lunch on our own. I wish we could have lunch together as usual. I had one attendee ask if I'd be sending them all food to your houses. I so wish I could get the funding to do that, but because we are virtual, we'll all take our own breaks and then we'll come back for 1 p.m. As I mentioned, please feel free to keep the conference open on your computers, or you can close out and rejoin at 1 o'clock. When we do come back, we will be joined first off by Amanda Quirk, who is an astrophysicist, PhD candidate, and disability advocate. Thank you all so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you all back here in just over an hour. Thank you.